of 4 daughters, all athletes, and he's advocating on behalf of his girls and other females for better safety. Joining us this morning is Rob Stokel. Rob, good morning to you. Of course, author and co-founder of Hummingbird Sports. Good morning.
Good morning, Amber. Thank you for having me on.
I first of all have to say, yeah, absolutely. You being a dad of 4 daughters, I'm also one of 4 girls as well. So we have that connection for sure. But let's go back to the very beginning and tell me what you were seeing. And of course, then you decided to take that next step to do something about it.
Yeah, I grew up playing basketball, soccer, traditional sports. Grew up in Philadelphia. And my girls all played the same sports, basketball, soccer. I love sports. I love all that it teaches. And my girls have been involved in all those sports from a very young age. And it was now 6.5 years ago that my 2 youngest asked me to play lacrosse. I didn't know much about lacrosse at all. Took them to the fields, and the boys were on one side wearing big hard helmets, and the girls were there with nothing protected their head, same stick and rock hard ball. And I started asking questions right there, and then I talk about it in my book that I mentioned. It's a no-brainer. The story of when I went to the field, and it was really right there and then that I told my daughters that they weren't going to play lacrosse, and gathered my team together. And it took us 3 years, some great partnerships, but we made the first ever girls lacrosse headgear.
That's incredible. That's what I want to dive more into. You made the first lacrosse headgear. What was that process like? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, it was tough. It was really tough, but we all felt it was important. I have some just great supportive friends that I called that night, the next day. Some good friends were sending me drawings, for the couple days after that. And, again, I talk in the book, it's a no-brainer about how the things that we started out making were completely wrong, failed tests, didn't look great. And then it was with some great partnerships. It's basically a soft headgear that you can squeeze, but still withstands that stick, rock hard, ball to the head impact. So it was difficult for sure. There were times where we thought we were going to pass and failed miserably. God, I'm sorry.
I bet. You know what I'm curious to hear about is what some of the responses, what were some of the reasonings or the explanations that you got when you asked all of these questions? What did you get back?
Yeah, so that was the second big hurdle. We made the headgear. We were excited, and then taking it out there, there's some old school mentality. Putting headgear in a game that doesn't have it. There's this fear of the gladiator effect I talk about, and it's a no-brainer. That there's this fear that the girls and boys games are different, that the girls games will turn into a more physical game. There are a few other arguments, most of them are going away. It's just the transition of putting headgear in a sport. We talk about other sports that have been through it, football, the NHL, hockey, they had to grandfather it in. If you went to a ski slope 15 years ago and went to a good skier and said, put on a helmet, they would have shooed you away. Or I talk about I rode a bike as a kid, no helmet on. My kids never rode a bike without a helmet on. So
different. I want to dive a little bit into your book, because not only are you talking about what you guys were able to do, but you're actually getting candid. You're getting personal stories of females who have actually, gone through things like this and had to deal with, what's happened because they didn't have that protective gear.
Absolutely. And those girls, it's not just the girls, it's their families, it's the mothers, the fathers, sisters, brothers, watching girls go through it years and years and years after the fact. Loneliness, depression, just from one single accidental ball or stick to the head for the most part. That's where these injuries happen. Warm-ups, just one, it's a rock hard ball they play with, and just one to the head. And the impact it has on all these girls' lives is amazing. So in my book, I also put in QR codes, and you can see, just click on with an app and see the interview that I did with girls, doctors, their parents. That's what keeps me going every day is those girls.
Gosh, I love that. Interesting perspective for sure. Rob, thank you so much. Of course, we'll put all the links on where people can find your book on indiestyle.tv, but a great perspective to share with us all. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me on, Amber. Appreciate it.
All right, Rob. Thank you.